Is it curtains for reconciliation? Is reconciliation a spent force? Is this the final act of what we once termed a miracle?
After only 4 democratic elections since '94, we have quickly learned that the world, which once rallied behind the banner of the worldwide anti-apartheid movement, is not there now to babysit us into adulthood in the affairs of state. We are having to grow up in a world which is very different from that which obtained in the days of our struggles for freedom and democracy. And these days, given what's happening around us, sometimes we wake up in the mornings, having seen the newspapers and seen the headlines, with an exclamation. How is it that our best of times can coexist so closely with our worst of times? But more and more, the gap between the speeches of leaders and people's experiences in real life seems to be widening. The din of people on the march is getting ever so loud. As Olof Palme said, this inability to deliver to people's expectations will have the effect of undermining democracy. The international solidarity movement against apartheid, amongst whom the Swedish labor movement stands out, understood this principle. 30 years ago, in the month of May, I stood proudly at the podium of the Swedish Labour Party's Congress in Stockholm. And as a young man, I had the privilege of meeting and being influenced by some of these leaders, best leaders the world has produced. And here I refer to the late Olof Palme and Oliver Tambo and Walter Sisulu, both now deceased, and Nelson Mandela too, who, in fact, the two I had the privilege of spending time with them on Robben Island. In their eyes and through their voices, I was touched by their deep, almost spiritual love for the people. I was embraced so warmly by their palpable humanity. I also shared in their anguish as they grappled with questions of peace, freedom, and democracy against the backdrop of rampant inequality and poverty throughout the world. I knew then, as I know now, that the gift of freedom should never be placed in the hands of leaders who do not know the meaning of people first. Solidarity is an important human condition that needs to be ingrained across, especially where it relates to issues of democracy, to issues of civil rights, and to issues of fighting poverty. And that, in fact, becomes the definition of a new solidarity profile going forward.
The first time I came to Cape Town was 54 years ago. I was a young man in Sweden, 19 years old. I wanted to see the world. And if you didn't have a lot of money, what could you do? Well, you could go to Gothenburg and see if you could get a job on a ship. I asked, where is it going? Well, this ship goes to South Africa. But when I arrived here, what I wanted to do was to send postcards home. So I went to the post office here in Cape Town. And before I entered, there was a sign on top of the entrance. And it says, only for Europeans. And my first thought was, my God, do they have other post offices for Americans as well? And then I had the privilege of working with these issues, for a long, long time. So I was part of the long march of Sweden. Over the 80s, I think we channeled something like 80 or 90 million rand to UDF. It actually, when it was counted later, it was 66% of UDF's overall budget, which came from us. At that time also, we had so to say, gotten very big trust with the leadership of both the ANC and UDF. That was our great privilege. And as this went on, more and more people in Sweden got involved. And I'm saying this because I think, if you look back at this experience, I think people are very proud. Your country is still one South Africa. And I would say that was not evident in 1994. It could have started with more violence here and there, which would lead to what has happened in many other countries after the end of the Cold War. Yugoslavia, you have several countries in Africa which disintegrated. But I believe the price which was paid was that the economic resources are more or less still the same as they were in 1994. The people who owned all the economic resources, they should also have been willing to make some sacrifices for the unity of this country. And I don't think enough was being done. And I don't think enough is being done today. I think, there is scope for a renewed relationship between our two countries. It took 30 years last time. And now we should be in for the second liberation. And that means the liberation of people. And for that, of course, you to get rid of this cancer called corruption. Because if that continues, you'll go down the drain. And I think, let's have a new liberation. And I think our country would be very proud to be part of that. Thank you.